Hey gang, what a guan, good people. Welcome to the Friday edition of Burn It Down with Kim Brown. It is I, your host today, Pitts McGee. And listen, guys, we have a fantastic program in store for you. I want to shout out all my people out there who is tuning in, checking in early. Chuck Diesel, always on time. Chuck Diesel is never late for Burn It Down with Kim Brown. We appreciate that, Chuck Diesel. What's up, Pookie Wood? What's up, Tyler? What's up, Craig Bardo in the building? Who else we got in here? Polly Gannon. Franco, you knew. What's up, Franco? What's going on? Yes, we are radical up in here, Franco. What's up, Dawn, Pimp C, Courtney, the SLP, Rain the Stud. Alicia's in here. Who else is up in here? Did I already say Tyler? I meant to say Tyler if I didn't, Tyler. Hey, what's up, Anna Hart? I'm so glad to see you up in here, sweetheart. What's up, Toby? How y'all feeling? I'm so glad to see everybody. Natalie, hello, honey. Who else? And that's Dawn. Did I already say Dawn? I have drank a couple of beers, maybe about three. And usually, y'all, I'm not a day drinker, and I know y'all be like, Kim, 3 beers. I don't think that constitutes as day drinking. Well, for regular people, it probably does not, but for I, I will fill 3 beers. Yes. Put them up. Let me see them drinks up in the chats, gangs. Listen, guys, we have a fantastic show for you today. Of course, always got to remind y'all that, of course, this is a space where we set oppression ablaze. We know that something better is going to rise from the ashes. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, go on over to Sabby Sab's channel and check out the episode I did with her this week. We talked about the Nabisco strike. We talked about a police brutality incident that happened in Providence, Rhode Island. I really enjoyed my time with Sabby Sabs, and thank you to everybody who may be joining us courtesy of Sabby Sabs. I certainly appreciate that. And if you haven't checked out Sabby Sabs and the Fred Hampton Leftist, please go over there, check them out, give them a subscribe. Of course, also, you know what we rep us for sure, BIDWKB for sure, but we also rep Black Power Media, everybody. Black Power Media is the space that you need to be at. So please, if you have not already subscribed and or became a member or even a patron of Black Power Media, please go over to the Black Power Media channel and do that today, because there's a fantastic slate of programming. Hold on, is Brother Balagoon in the building? What's up, Brother Balagoon? Thank you so much for checking us out. What's up, Afraid Not? I see us up in here. Northern Witch, of course, is in here. Northern Witch, always on time. Thank you, Northern Witch, for coming over to the Sabby Sabs joint as well. I saw you in the chat there. Also, hey, Big Teal. Hey, what's up, Radical Leftist Agenda? I certainly appreciate this community, y'all, because I love seeing the same faces in a lot of the different spaces. So y'all already know what time it is. Y'all have already decided to get with the good shit. And that's what I respect about y'all specifically. So, guys, we've got a program for you today. Also, if you haven't done so already, follow us places around the internet. Facebook, BIDWKB, Instagram, BIDWKB. We are also on TikTok. We're also on Twitter at Burn It Down KB. So go ahead and push follow in those places also. So the program today, as I probably said now 3 times, because I told y'all I have been drinking tired of it. I've been drinking some Yangling. Y'all familiar with Yangling? I don't know if Yangling is a strictly East Coast-y kind of thing. Maybe Yangling has spread out across the continent and by this point. But Yangling is brewed, I believe, in Pennsylvania. I discovered Yangling when I was a student at Temple University. And I was like, ooh, what is this Yangling? It's cheap, but it don't taste terrible. So shout out to the good people of Yangling up there in Pennsylvania. Anyway, the show. There has been an escalation, guys, in the actions to stop the Line 3, the Enbridge Line 3 pipeline that is getting ready to traverse throughout northern Minnesota, traversing across indigenous tribal lands and lands that have been otherwise so-called protected by treaty. Now, we know the United States government don't give a shit about honoring a treaty, about honoring a law, about honoring an amendment, any of those things. So in full view of the Biden administration, and I believe a Democratic governor there in Minnesota, in Tim Walz, the Line 3 Enbridge pipeline project continues to push forward. However, hundreds, guys, of water protectors have come out and have been arrested there at the Line 3 Enbridge pipeline site. But thousands of people showed up at St. Paul at the Minnesota State Capitol. Lots of those people had actually walked 250 miles from the site of the pipeline to the state capitol to make it known that this Line 3 Enbridge pipeline has to stop. OK, it is nothing but devastation, not only for the ecosystem, for the river, for the drinking water, for thousands of people, millions of people, literally downstream and downriver from where this pipeline is. Also, when these pipeline sites are constructed, they pose an imminent threat to Indigenous women. Lots of people are abducted, are sex trafficked. It contributes to the missing and murdered Indigenous women. This is documented. So we're going to take a look at what's happening in Minnesota with the Line 3 Enbridge to stop that bitch later on in the program. But I want to lead off with something that is very close to home. What's up, Sugar Booger? I'm going to shout you out, Sugar Booger, because my friend is over here. My friend, I was reading off people in the chat and I said, Sugar Booger. And my friend said, do they like booger sugar? I said, I do not know. I will ask. So Sugar Booger, you don't have to disclose your predilections publicly, darling. I was just saying somebody had made an inquiry. Anyway, so I do want to lead off the show, honestly, on a much more serious note, because as we know, guys, despite the fact that George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and Ahmaud Arbery's deaths garnered so much attention, beyond attention, it garnered an actual movement. 2020 is really something that we have not seen really in our lifetime as large and as impactful and as widespread as it were, where people were in the streets by the millions, right? And it did not stop the pigs from killing Black people. Remember when George Floyd's verdict was read, or rather the verdict against Derek Chauvin for killing George Floyd? That's when Ma'Khia Bryant was killed in Ohio. That's when the young brother was killed in North Carolina. So the cops do not take days off to stop killing Black people. Now, if you had been here with us on Tuesday's show, we showed you two fine and recent examples of law enforcement doing a bang-up job of addressing violent, armed white males, threatening violence, and one actually committing violence, right? And somehow both of them got taken into custody without injury, without being killed. That was not the case 2 nights ago for a young man in Washington, D.C. His name is Antwan Gilmore, 27 years old. I hope you have heard his name already, and I hope that you have seen some coverage about this on social media, because there are so many people killed around this country all the time by police. The names can get overwhelming, but it's so important that we don't forget and that we say their names. Okay. Hello, Anna Hart. Thank you so much for your support, darling. I just saw your super chat. I appreciate that. Thank you, darling. Antwan. Well, the way that he was killed was so absurd. I'm reluctant to even describe it for you in advance, because I have a package here from NBC Washington, and the reporter does a decent job of surmising the facts, but per usual, you hear the slant towards the police and the bringing out of Antwan's alleged criminal history, right? And when I hear these things juxtaposed with his murder, right, to me they sound like excuses as to why police took this young man's life. However, let me just tell you this. This is all information in terms of Antwan had an outstanding warrant and he was armed. But the police did not know anything about his outstanding warrant until after they killed him, right? So this is all information that was coming out after the fact. This was not known to officers in the moment. So they did not know necessarily who or what they were dealing with, beyond the fact that he was a sleeping man in a car and they saw a gun in his waistband. They did not see a gun in his hand. Excuse me. They did not see a gun sitting in the seat next to him. They saw a gun in his waistband and he was asleep. So Oh, Tuna, could you put up Antwan's picture for me, please? Just so okay, I'm sorry. Let's take a listen, guys, to this package from NBC Washington. The reporter's name is Paul Wagner. Like I said, I mean, he did a hard job of encapsulating the facts. But again, all media, local media, network affiliated media, American media across the board, by and large, are deferential to the police in all situations, especially when it's police versus a black body. So today, let's take a look at this package from NBC4 here in DC.
And we have new video this afternoon that shows a D.C. police officer shooting and killing a man in Northeast Washington.
Yeah, that officer fired at a man who was sleeping inside a car along New York Avenue early yesterday morning. Now, investigators tell us the man had a gun in his waistband. The body camera video shows the car slightly lurch forward. Moments later, an officer fired multiple shots. You can see multiple angles of the shooting here, but none show a clear picture of what was happening inside the vehicle.
And here is another perspective, this from a nearby witness. You can see multiple officers surrounding the car and then suddenly disperse. News 4's Paul Wagner has the latest on this.
At 2:45 Wednesday morning, D.C. police get a call for a man asleep at the wheel of a car on New York Avenue at Florida Avenue Northeast. When officers arrive, they see the man at the wheel has a pistol on the right side of his waistband. His foot is on the brake and his left hand is on the wheel. Officers call for backup, get a shield, and attempt to wake him.
Move up closer. Move up. Where's the gun there? Where's the gun there? Should we knock?
For several minutes, the officers keep an eye on the man as an officer with the shield gets in position.
Hey, come closer. Put the light on his hand. Knock on the window.
Already? See him?
Yeah, I see him.
Already now?
I see him. He ain't waking up.
Don't move! Don't move!
Don't move! Watch the hand! Watch the hand!
D.C. Police Chief Robert Conti says although it's against policy to fire into a moving car, the department does not yet have a statement from the officer who fired his weapon and do not know exactly what he saw.
It's very difficult to see from that officer's vantage point through the lens of the ballistic shield that he had deployed. It's very difficult to see what he saw at the point where he fired his weapon.
Chief Conti says the officer, who has more than 10 years' experience, fired 10 rounds. And when the car came to a rest after hitting a tree, the officers found the gun in the waistband of the man they've identified as Antwan Gilmore.
Firing out a moving vehicle is inconsistent with our policies. I would not draw any conclusions from the positioning of where the firearm was at the time it was recovered. But to your point, we do have a policy with respect to shooting at or from moving vehicles.
The shooting is drawing some strong reaction, to include a tweet from Ward 4 council member Janice George, who said, "Sitting here trying to figure out how law enforcement can successfully de-escalate a white domestic terrorist in a truck threatening to blow up the Capitol with a bomb, but not a black man who fell asleep in his car." So far, News 4 has been unsuccessful in finding Antwan Gilmore's family. Police say he did not have a permit for the firearm and was wanted on an outstanding assault with a dangerous weapon charge in the district from last October. In the district, Paul Wagner, News 4.
Schultz 100 said, you said it, honey. And unfortunately, I have been drinking and I don't remember what you said that fast. But guys, this is absolutely something that did not necessarily have to happen, especially when you put it against the way here in this exact same city, probably about 7 or 8 days ago, that Floyd Ray Roseberry of North Carolina, who had went live on Facebook, gone on a white supremacist rant for hours upon hours, and drove his vehicle and parked it on federal territory, on federal grounds, and threatened to blow it up if Joe Biden didn't do X, Y, and Z. And Floyd is still being held right now in DC jail. they are actually making a lot of accommodations for Floyd, guys. They got Floyd on his medications. They are not exactly clear how they're going to charge Floyd, because they said that Floyd was off his meds and not necessarily in his right mind. And if you remember the clip that we played, that Vishal Singh compiled of the U.S. Capitol Police Chief talking about Floyd, just lost his mama, and that's why we took 5 hours to say, it's okay, buddy. It's all right, buddy. It's okay, guy. Come on out when you get ready, Floyd. It's all right. But you see what happens to Antwan, who is asleep. And I don't understand. That's what you said, Schultz. You said, why are they so tense? That's my thought exactly. Why are these cops scary as fuck? Like, why y'all scary asses? If y'all gonna be scary asses, why the fuck are you police? If a man who is asleep in his car, regardless of whether or not you can see that he has a weapon, why do you think that somebody black, just because they're armed, are immediately out to shoot police? When the data shows, let the data reflect, the data shows that police and law enforcement officers are more likely to be killed by white men. But see, the microphone got disgusted with the whole situation. But you understand where I'm going with this, right? And it was interesting to me that you heard, well, I guess this was yesterday, but Paul Wagner, or 2 days ago, Paul Wagner said that Antwan Gilmore's family could not be located. Well, guys, you know who was able to locate Antwan Gilmore's family? No one other else than Chuck Modiano, friend of the show, justice journalist. Chuck Modiano was good in these streets. And if Channel 4 couldn't find Antwan Gilmore's family, Chuck Modiano absolutely did. So Tunde, can we take a look at the compilation of videos? Guys, they were already in the streets last night for Antwan Gilmore. Shout out to DMV Black Lives in the city. Shout out to Shutdown DC. Shout out to Good Trouble Co-op. They had the folks already out. And of course, Chuck Modiano was on the scene, and he had the opportunity to speak with members of Antwan Gilmore's family. Let's take a look at that.
Antwan Gilmore, from his family, from his community, that are taking so many people from us. Are we going to stand by and let it happen? Are we going to fight this racist police today? Or do we got to say his name? Say his name! Say his name!
Say lost for words. We're lost for words. We're going to keep his memory alive, his name alive. We want accountability. We want them to be held accountable. We're going to keep our foot on their neck. We're not letting up. My cousin's life meant something. He meant something. They didn't even know if he had any medical distress or any medical history. The only ambulance you seen was in the camera back there. When the young lady was recording, when she actually said, let me go back around, she had a gut feeling, let me go back around, because she felt something. And just from her response, my cousin was asleep in the car. They were playing chicken hide and go seek. They were trying to figure out what they wanted to do. They had their eyes on my cousin. They wanted my cousin for what? I don't know. He was a good man. But at the end of the day, you're going to be held accountable. His life meant something, and 10 shots was not right. 10 shots with the man who didn't threaten you at all. And the body cam, the officer didn't say not one time his hands was on the gun. The officer said, let me get more light so I can see his hands. Oh, he's waking up, he's waking up. Not one time did he say he pointed the gun or his hands was on the gun. So no, our feet are on your neck, and we're not letting up, and justice will be served for Antwan Gilmore, AKA Model Baby, AKA Juvie. Love you, cuz.
Run the police, man. We can protect ourselves, man. They just killed a sleeping man. Fuck out of here.
Of course, outstanding journalism right there by Chuck Modiano, justice journalist here in DC. Guys, follow Chuck Modi if you haven't not already on the good social medias, because especially when it comes to actions in DC, Chuck is always down there. And I like the fact that, Chuck is trusted. People will actually come talk to Chuck. and speak freely and frankly and speak without reservation. So that's the scenes that are happening in DC as a result of now DC police killing somebody. And again, y'all, in this area, this is the second time within a relatively, short amount of weeks here where a Black man who was armed was shot down by cops. And there's not any clear evidence that these men were trying to aim their weapons at police. Ryan LaRue, listen, I hate it. But okay, for reasons I don't understand, like trolls, racist trolls on this here platform search victims of violence, of police violence names and just shit post under videos, right? And I've gotten a lot of that under the video where Ryan LaRue's name is in the headline, right? They all say, oh, well, he raised his gun. Where? I watched the body cam video, the police video. What I saw was Ryan, he was reclined in his chair and he raised his chair up and they fired dozens of shots at him, right? This young man, Antwan Gilmore, again, when they approached him, he was asleep. He was asleep. Excuse me, has anybody ever been startled awake before? Have you ever been startled awake while in the driver's seat of your vehicle? Yes, I have. Have you ever been startled awake by police in the driver's seat of your vehicle? Yes. Now, the situation where the police startled me awake, there was an accident on the BW Parkway, and I was on the BW Parkway, and it had been shut down for a long time. And I put the joint in park, and I fell asleep. And then the cop came and tapped on the joint. And I'm like, what? You know what I mean? But him, can you imagine? He is asleep for reasons I don't know. I don't know why he was asleep, but he was not in a state of mind to be able to register exactly what was going on around him in that exact moment. And the bottom line is, I don't know if police either think that Negroes are like superhuman, we some sort of X-Men, like immediately from rousing from being asleep, you can immediately deduce that there are a half a dozen police around you and that they want your attention. You know what I'm saying? You just see people and lights flashing. I'm sure his first instinct was to get away. And he didn't even get an opportunity to mash out like that because they opened fire on him. Y'all, I think I counted like 5 seconds. They didn't even give him a chance to respond, to do anything. And is there going to be consequences for this cop? I don't know. Who can really say? Because you hear the excuses already being trotted out. Oh, well, he had a gun. The gun was unregistered. He did not have a permit to carry the gun, and that he had an outstanding warrant for, so I think a shooting, or what did they say, assault with a deadly weapon like that from October. Okay. First of all, perfect example of how the police ain't shit and don't deserve the money that they get, because if he had an outstanding warrant from October and showed it, that's 10 months ago. Fuck y'all been doing? Y'all had plenty of time to catch up with him. Clearly he was still hanging around in the city. If y'all was doing y'all job, this young man would not be dead. He would be having his day in court facing the charges against him, right? But all of this was unbeknownst to the police when they approached him. And you know what? Fuck whoever called the police on him in the first place, because in the package indicated that police received a 911 call from an alert passerby, right? I think that was actually the verbiage, that a man was asleep behind the wheel of his car. Well, if he wasn't moving, if I'm going to see him, I'm trying to think what I would do in that situation, but I can tell you exactly what I would not do in that situation. And call the police is not even on the list of potential things that I would do if I saw someone asleep at 3 o'clock in the morning at that intersection, at that point in time, not very busy. New York Avenue, Florida Avenue. It's a popular intersection, but trust me, I have traversed New York Avenue in and out of the city at that exact hour. And on that day of the week, today is the Friday. This would be Wednesday night or Thursday night. Come on, dog. No. One reason to call the police on that man. And public service announcement, please do not call the police on Black people all willy-nilly, especially if nobody's life is immediately in danger. Just Tell your friend to tell a friend. Circulate that throughout your community, please, because no, this is what happens. Black people can literally be doing the absolute least or even doing literally nothing at all, just existing. And the audacity of Antwan and the audacity of Ryan to think that they could possess handguns in this country and just be allowed to have the guns, right? And I don't understand why, right, in some of these stories and how the news is able to frame and report these kinds of stories, why, when they're talking out of one side of their neck, talking about the rise in gun violence and how, violent crime is on the rise, these young men are strapped up for a reason, okay? I don't believe Antwan, the charge he was wanted for was not pertaining to robbery, right? And again, whatever the fuck he was charged with or had a arrest warrant out for his arrest, he has not had his day in court. I don't know if them shits is true or not. Just because somebody is charged with something absolutely does not make them guilty of that crime. That is the whole point of having this farcical criminal and justice system, is it not? So people can answer to the charges of which they are facing. But just because of him being charged is enough to taint him in the minds of law enforcement and in the minds of the general public at large, except if you're not thinking critically and just assume that just because this young man was carrying and had an outstanding warrant that he was guilty of something. How about he's out here trying to survive? Okay, because let me explain to y'all, as I'm sure is the case in cities near you, the shit is real out here. Okay, they have resumed shooting out here, y'all. And so I don't knock Antwan Gilmore or Ryan LaRue for carrying a handgun on their person, because people is hungry out here, bro. And if my kid's hungry, snatch the dishes out your kitchen, you feel me? It'd be wild until they pick me out of lineup. Shorty, Freeway laid it out. The whole reason for people to carry guns, Shorty, is that first verse of What We Do, Freeway. You know what I'm saying? And I'm trying to remember how the verse goes, and I was thinking about spitting it, but maybe this is not the time to do that. But I know that, number one, I believe Antwan's cousin there, who Chuck Modiano interviewed, I believe that the family is going to remain on the neck of the DC police. But again, this kind of shit is standard operating procedure. This is shit that DC police budget for, because the family, the latest news about this is that the family has announced that they intend to sue the city. Sue the motherfuckers. Immediately sue them for a lot of money. Sue them for a shit ton of money. But this is already in the budget, right? The DC police ain't sweating this at all. Even if they do get a very large multi-million-dollar settlement, that has already been budgeted for, honey, right? And this is all the reason why we need to defund the police, because they should not have a war chest just set aside for officers to execute people, right? This is their this is their execution fund that they get for killing people, because as you can imagine, this officer is on administrative duty. He is still very much receiving his salary and benefits, and is not under any obligation to issue a statement to the police in connection with this investigation. Why? Because that's part of the, and I know the Law Enforcement Officers Bill of Rights, every city has one. I don't know the particulars of Washington's to be specific. I know Maryland, our state legislator, has, issued some reforms that I believe go into effect this fall. But that LEO Bill of Rights, I'm sure DC police union got a tight one for sure. And I don't really expect a comprehensive investigation, because, they just look at this as a cost of doing business, right? They don't care if they shoot and kill a young Black man. And the fact that he was armed is just that justification, right? And that's exactly the kind of shit that the racists seem to seize upon, right? Oh, he had a gun. He had an illegal gun. Motherfucker, do you know how many white men in rural America or even suburban America have lots and lots of guns? Some may or may not be registered, if at all, right? So spare me this shit. Basically, what you're telling me is that Black people do not have a Second Amendment right to carry. Like, we have to adhere to all the regulations. And again, that's also some racist, city versus country shit also, because I just know, my people is from the country, right? Guns is very normal. For people to have guns in their car, rifles in their car, shotguns in their car, normal as fuck. And a less scary ass police may not have reacted in such a hyper elevated way. What the fuck was y'all approaching him with gun shields for, man? Knock on his window. Excuse me, sir. Are you all right? Okay. You saw the gun. Does that mean that necessarily you have to act on the gun? Like, if the young man is not even indicating that he has any intent of harming the police or reaching for the gun, like, why are y'all so scary? Why weren't y'all this fucking scary when Floyd Roseberry threatened to blow up his shit? Like, y'all didn't approach his shit with guns and ballistic missile and ballistic shields, pardon me. And same thing with the dude we saw in Portland who was just letting off on the street, right? Subdued his ass, normal as fuck. They drew down on him and they told him to get down. And what did he do? He got down. He put the shit down and got down. And I have no idea why they think that Ryan LaRue or Antwan Gilmore would have reacted any differently, right? These young black men know what the stakes are when it comes to police. At least I hope they know. And not just young black men, young black people, period. But our young boys, our young men out here, absolutely. The police are scary as shit. And I mean, when I say, y'all understand, see, this is the negritude here, right? Y'all understand when I say that they scary. Not that we are afraid of the police, even though in some instances, yes, but in some instances, no. But y'all, scary asses, like they are scared. They are afraid. They operate from a position of fear. Everything in their movements indicates that they are terrified, right? If you this scared, this is not the job for you, man. This is allegedly for heroes. You know what I'm saying? This is why they police and not firefighters. You want to see a hero? Go look at your local fire department, your volunteer fire department. You want to see some courageous dudes out here? That's them. It is not the cops. I assure you. Woo! See them all fired up and drunk. Not drunk, fired up and slightly toasty. What's going on in here, man? Hey, I see we are rocking out at 102. So do me a favor, you guys. Go ahead and hit that like button for me. If you have not already subscribed to my channel, please kindly do so. We certainly appreciate it. We love all the love around here. Burn it down with Kimber. Is that Richie L. Deals in the house? Puerto Rico, who shot us some cash? What's up, Jonathan Guerrero? Thank you, darling. Jonathan Guerrero, dog. Jonathan Guerrero says, shout out to the Taliban for showing us that the Saline Empire is crumbling. Show day. I got the news about that attack at Kabul this morning, and I said, oh, that's very bad. That's bad. 100 civilians killed at least, right? The 13 service members killed. This is bad. It's very bad. And, hey, Joe Biden, you wanted to be president. You voted for all of this shit. Joe Biden voted in the affirmative for every escalating action in Afghanistan and Iraq and stood idly by as vice president while Obama was overseeing these same imperialistic wars. And the chickens have come home to roost, right? As Brother Malcolm astutely said. So it is poetic somewhat that Joe Biden has to deal with this. And I feel extremely terrible for the people of Afghanistan. You guys, they're sending lots of refugees here to the DC area. Refugees have arrived by the hundreds at Dulles Airport. And, they're not exactly being treated all that great when they get here. Some of the refugees have told some of the local media outlets, this one guy said, after our plane landed at Dulles Airport, they sat on the plane for an additional 14 hours. 14 hours. People, are literally in the same clothes that they were when they left Kabul, right? So send prayers up, y'all, and try to look out for some. There are so I want to say Catholic Charities, because that's the shit I heard on the news, but I can't speak for Catholic Charities. I don't know Catholic Charities be on the up and up. So, take that necessarily with a grain of salt, but there are Afghan-led organizations here in the DC area, the DC, Maryland, Northern Virginia area, that are helping out with the refugees. So if you see some, I unfortunately, I can't vouch for any because I I want to come with the correct if I'm gonna tell y'all to send your coin somewhere. So you might have to do your Googles on that. But it's not easy, right? These people are literally coming here having to start from zero. So definitely keep the Afghan people in your prayers. Send them all that you can. If it's nothing but good vibrations, do that. If you can send them some cash or some sort of material assistance, do that if you're able. Okay, so thank you so much, Jonathan Guerrero, for your super chat support there, guys. I want us to move along to the next story because you want to talk about the Saline Empire crumbling, right? Our Indigenous brothers and sisters have not stopped pushing for that exact thing to happen for hundreds of years now, right? And, you know, the fortitude of Indigenous Americans and let me not say Indigenous people native to this continent in US and Canada, they have not ever stopped resisting this empire. And really what the Indigenous people are doing in northern Minnesota, trying to stop the Line 3 and Bridge pipeline, I mean, they're not just doing this for them, they're really doing it for everybody that relies on these rivers, the Mississippi, and then there's another river, but we're gonna have an explainer about the Enbridge Line 3 if you are not already familiar with it and the struggle that has been happening in northern Minnesota for years now. I didn't realize like how long this pipeline fight has been going on, but it has been going on for a very, very long time. And actually, I'd like us to take a look at a video from a group called Honor the Earth, an Indigenous-led environmental organization. These people are, you want to talk about the planet, like climate crisis and climate change and all that crazy shit? The only people who have been out here riding for the planet Earth from day one, at least in North America, has been the Indigenous people. They are fighting for clean water, for protected lands, clean air, respect to the wildlife, and that fight continues. And the white-led corporate powers that be are not interested in any of that shit, right? These white-led corporate entities and state-backed entities, because Biden is complicit in this too. Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, is complicit in this too, because Enbridge is a Canadian-based company trying to run that tar sands y'all. If you get a chance to fucking Google the tar sands, if y'all not familiar with exactly how disgusting of an oil refining process that I said it like Canadians too. I say process. Let me say it American. Process this is extracting oil from the tar sands. It is horrific. It is so terrible. And the United States and Canada governments are 100% complicit in this shit. And Enbridge, this piece of shit corporation, it doesn't give a damn if the damn pipeline ruptures and spills and permanently pollutes the surrounding rivers in which millions of people rely on for their drinking water. Oh, and by the way, it's wildfire season in northern Minnesota. Oh, and they are experiencing a drought. Oh, and the state has been selling water to Enbridge and allowing Enbridge to literally pump water out of the ground as Minnesota is dealing with these wildfires, one of which, the Greenwood wildfire, if I have this correct, in northern Minnesota, it's burned so long and it's so big that they don't expect for the Greenwood fire to go out until it snows. Until it snows. And the state is allowing Enbridge to pump water out of the ground. It is horrific. Anyway, today, let's take a look at the Honor the Earth video to give us an explainer for everyone who may not be familiar with this fight and why this fight is important. And I know y'all be like, well, I'm not Indigenous and I don't live out there. No. Anything that they will do to some of us, they will do to all of us. And please don't think that we are exempt, especially if we live in suburban and urban places, honey. That water supply is tenuous. Ask the people of Flint, Michigan, okay? They will tell you your water can go south and you will be fucking taking horse baths with bottles of water for years. And maybe should we not call them horse baths no more? Are we all everybody familiar with the term horse bath? Tunde said no. You're not familiar with it, or hose bath, Tunde? You never heard of hose bath? Okay, so a hose bath is when you don't actually get in the shower or sit in the tub, like you clean up from the sink, right? So you get your washcloth and hopefully your soap, and you clean up dry. You know what I'm saying? That's what that is. Now, why it's called a horse bath, I am not clear, because I know a lot of men probably take a horse bath plenty. Does that understand? Was that a sufficient explanation?
I think we should just go ahead and play this clip.
I'm sorry. All right. Infinite Content, thank you so much for your love, honey. Infinite Content said, Kim, their lines run under the source of the Mississippi River. Right. That's tens of millions of people's water sources. Thank you so much for that clarification there, Infinite Content. Yes, let's put this motherfucker in all the context, baby. The head of the Mississippi River. Right. So if Enbridge drops some tar sands oil in the Mississippi up in Minnesota, all this shit flow downstream. St. Louis, that's coming for you. Memphis is coming for you. Alabama, Mississippi. Oh yeah, all bad. Tunde, let's take a look at that Honor the Earth video, please, sir.
What is Line 3? A lot of people want to know, and a lot of people don't know. So think of it this way. There are 6 really old pipelines that they put through in northern Minnesota, shipping diluted tar sands from Alberta to Superior, Wisconsin. And one of those lines is called Line 3. It has, according to Enbridge, about 900 structural anomalies in it. Structural anomalies are things like small little pinhole leaks, maybe some cracks, and some of those end up to be big problems, like that Kalamazoo spill. That was a structural anomaly. Line 3, it's old and it's corroding and it's at the end of its life. It's already had a number of leaks and spills, and frankly, it's a catastrophe waiting to happen. There is a likelihood that there is a whole bunch of contamination under the present line. And once that corrodes, our children and grandchildren may one day watch it drain a lake or a wetland or flood a farm field. Fixing these problems is very expensive, so Enbridge wants to abandon the pipeline, walk away, and build a brand new one in a brand new corridor. Enbridge calls this a replacement project. They're replacing Line 3. They are not replacing Line 3. They are putting in a whole new corridor and doubling the size of the line. That is not a replacement. That's a brand new line, and that's what's wrong. So we've got 2 problems. First, we've got a problem of the proposed new Sandpiper and Line 3 corridor through the heart of our best lakes and wild rice watersheds and through our treaty territories. We also have the problem of this old crumbling line that Enbridge wants to abandon. And right now, what abandonment means is that they just leave it and walk away. And the company says that they will take care of it, but it is not clear that there is any liability from the Enbridge Corporation. The worst part is that neither the United States government or the state of Minnesota has any plan to deal with it. The good news is that the Ojibwe tribes are standing up, and a lot of landowners, county commissioners, and mayors are getting increasingly concerned about who's going to be liable for Enbridge's mess. So tell Governor Dayton to tell the state legislator to tell county commissioners that abandonment is not what we want. We want big Canadian energy corporations to clean up their mess and not leave it for all of us. And we feel that they should put hard-working Minnesotans to work doing it. It's time to make a plan, investing in cleaning up and stabilizing our existing infrastructure and building stuff that actually serves people. Miigwech, this is Winona LaDuke.
So guys, that video was courtesy of Honor the Earth, and that video was 4 years old. You heard her shout out a whole different governor. Now Governor Tim Walz is in power, and Governor Tim Walz, a Democrat, I believe. Yes, Tim Walz is a Democrat. Tim Walz is okay with Enbridge just doing whatever. And if you heard, sis shout out the Kalamazoo oil spill, right? We got any Michiganders up in the building? Oh, Winona LaDuke, thank you so much. I'm sorry for Freddie French. Like I said, I had a couple beers. The Kalamazoo River spill happened in 2010. I'm reading this off Wikipedia, guys. It was an Enbridge project, right? This happened. A pipeline operated by Enbridge, it was Line 68, burst and flowed into the Talmadge Creek, which is a tributary of the Kalamazoo River. And it was the break in this pipeline resulted in one of the largest inland oil spills in U.S. history. The largest was a 1991 spill near Grand Rapids, Minnesota. Is there Grand Rapids, Minnesota? I thought it was just Grand Rapids, Michigan. You gotta watch Wikipedia sometimes. Wikipedia be on the pipeline carries diluted bitumen. I don't even know what that is. A heavy crude oil from Canada's Alhalabaska oil sands to the United States. Cleanup took 5 years, and I bet you it's not even fully cleaned up. So there's no question why the indigenous folks of northern Minnesota and really indigenous people all across this continent are literally up in arms. And people who have been fighting against the Enbridge Line 3 have been putting their bodies literally on the line. Yes, Bagheera, on the line. Yes, all the way on the line. They've been chaining themselves to heavy machinery, trying their best to stop the construction of this, and trying to disrupt as much as possible. And over 700 people so far have been arrested in connection to these actions. So I want us to take a look at how this is ramped up. And this is ramped up in the form of people literally marching hundreds of miles and assembling by the thousands on the steps of the Minnesota State Capitol in St. Paul, trying to demand Governor Tim Walz put an end to this. But really, Joe Biden could put an end to this the same way he ended Dakota Access Pipeline, right? These methods of energy extraction are unsustainable, and it's so fucked up because it is literally rich white men who have decided that they will be okay as the climate burns, as the air fouls, as wildfires run uncontained for actual months, right? They figured them and theirs will be okay. The rest of us just gonna have to deal with on this, how to cope with this burning planet. So I want us to take a look at a compilation of clips giving us a snapshot of some of the actions that are happening even today. A lot of it happened yesterday because that's the day that the permits were granted for the state capitol. But after the permits expired, there were still people there demonstrating. And then, of course, all of this has been met with a very heavy-handed police response. The police, of course, there to protect the interests of the corporate oil overlords and not actually to protect the water and the land and those who are in defense of the water and the land, who unfortunately don't have money and resources to afford police protection for the earth, right? Fucked up. So the first thing we're going to see actually is coming from the Enbridge camp, or right outside of the man camp, okay? It is a group of mostly indigenous women and two-spirit femmes. They're singing Indian Car, and they are in zip ties and lockdowns at 7 a.m., blocking a Line 3 man camp with a flipped over Indian car. This was courtesy of the GIWIW collective. And then we're going to see some other clips from Roots Action. The GINIW, the GINU collective, pardon me. That's who that first video is going to be credited to. And then we're going to see some videos from Roots Action. They were on the scene there in St. Paul. And I think a TikTok clip from a young protester giving people an idea of what level of law enforcement engagement to expect if you are indeed coming to Minnesota to help resist Line 3. And that's another one of the Twitter pages as well, Resist Line 3. So let's take a look at this compilation of videos that Tunde so astutely edited together for us. And we are going to send our support and solidarity to those who are trying to stop Line 3. But check this out, guys.
action, you don't have to. The actions at line 3 have 3 levels of risk, codenamed green, yellow, and red. Green actions are unarrestable, such as this walk. Yellow actions are possible arrestable, and red actions are arrestable. For the most part, people who are getting arrested are planning to get arrested, and that means that if you're planning to come up here and you don't want to get arrested, that is preventable.
This is the Minnesota State Patrol. The permit issued for this event expired at 10 p.m. yesterday, Thursday, August 26th. In order to prepare for future permitted events, you need to leave the cordoned off area immediately. Please make your way to the inner circle of troopers, and you will be escorted to the outside of the.
Guys, if you bout it, I say you bout it. I roll with Indigenous, bout it. Hey, shout out to Derek. Derek said for me to check out Unicorn Riot's coverage of all these actions. Derek, absolutely. Unicorn Riot be on it, shorty. Yes, I definitely saw Unicorn Riot. And shout out to the People's City Council, Richie Sergenko. Richie Sergenko was actually on Unicorn Riot's coverage on their stream last night. Was it last night or night before? I'm getting my days. The COVID, I don't know what day it is, but days are running together. But it was this week. Richie was up there in Minnesota showing solidarity from the People's City Council. So yeah, thank you so much for that, Derek. Shout out to Unicorn Riot. They do amazing coverage. Guys, and there was actually a big action here in DC. I know Shutdown DC was part of that. I think Sunrise DC was part of that, along, of course, with spearheaded and centered by Indigenous-led organizations, marched on the White House to let Joe Biden know that he needs to stop this line 3 nonsense, especially when it is. I mean, from what I understand, guys, this line 3 project crosses the Mississippi in several different areas. It just doesn't cross the river once, it crosses it multiple times. And another river in proximity to there, it crosses that other river several times as well. My apologies for not knowing the name of the river offhand. But this is extremely, extremely serious. And these pipelines, again, unreliable. It's not a matter of if they will spill, it is when they will spill. And good luck cleaning up tar sands out of anything, guys. I mean, the spill in Kalamazoo, they said it took 5 years. I'm sorry. Do you really think they got it all cleaned up, or they just said good enough, right? I hate it here, y'all. Please alert the aliens. I am ready. y'all can beam me up anytime after now. Earth has had a great run. I don't know if I can endure Earth anymore because tragically, y'all, it is a small handful of people that are dictating the destiny of 7 billion of the rest of us. And they are determined to drive this planet climatically off a cliff, determined to let the ocean levels rise to unprecedented levels. Guys, we are in a code red climate alert, right? The stuff that we are dealing with is cataclysmic. I'm not sure who said it in the chat. And please send love and vibes and all that to the bayou down to Louisiana. They're looking at possibly a very major hurricane that is going to make landfall and could be devastating. And in a fucked up coincidence, this hurricane could strike New Orleans. It's not 100% that it's going to strike, but it's the models Grandma on TV said the models are not looking great. But it's going to strike possibly on the 16th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina. 16 years, y'all. Can y'all believe it's been 16 years since Katrina? 16th year anniversary of Hurricane Katrina. New Orleans could be facing yet another devastating storm. Not to mention all of the hurricanes that came through Louisiana and Alabama and Tennessee last year, y'all. I mean, we are in a very bad position here. And the people who are in power, the people who have the authority to try to lessen the devastating effects of all this are determined not to do anything about it. Remember Joe Biden during the debates, the presidential debates? He's like, I'm not banning fracking. Nigga, are you crazy? Fuck what I ban fracking for? Like he said the shit like he was offended at the question. Like, what the fuck would I ban? Me ban fracking? Absolutely not. So all we can do is stand in solidarity with those who are actively resisting. And those folks up in northern Minnesota and in St. Paul are actively resisting. There are bail funds. Please, I encourage you to check out Honor the Earth, check out the Indigenous and Environmental Network. There's lots of others. And they are posting links to, for bail support for those who are literally risking their freedom to help do anything possible to stop the construction and the finishing of this black snake, right? They are true black snakes killers. And yes, water is life. And don't y'all forget it. Guys, I think I might turn y'all loose. Should I turn y'all loose at 6 o'clock? I saw Toby had to push out a little early. It's Friday, everybody. We got some storms coming through here, so it's getting a little funky outside. I hear the lightning and thunder. And like my grandmama would tell me, Granny would say, get off that phone. You better get off the phone while it is storming out here, Kim. It's storming outside. You better get off the phone. So I'm going to do what Granny say and get off the phone. Guys, thank you all so much for your love and your support. Do me a favor, hit them thumbs up. Chuck Diesel is in here whipping it, telling y'all, hit them likes, get them thumbs up. If you have not already subscribed to the channel, please do so. If you want to support Burn It Down with Kim Brown, we are easy to find. You can become a patron at patreon.com/BIDWKB. Starting as low as $2. And I appreciate your $2. Please don't think that I don't appreciate your $2. I totally appreciate your $2. You can also support us at Cash App, $BIDWKB, at BIDWKB on Venmo, and paypal.me/BIDWKB. Guys, anything that you give is appreciated. No amount is ever too small because, we appreciate it. So thank you all so much. On behalf of Tunde, Molly, and Jean-Vieve, we will see y'all on Tuesday. Don't forget tonight, Black Power Media, Riot Starter TV, Renegade Culture. I think there was a new Black Miss podcast. And don't forget tomorrow, 1 o'clock Saturday, Warrior Class with Brother Balagoon. Balagoon's going to teach y'all how to fuck people up out here, man. And I appreciate it. And Balagoon's going to teach us how to try to survive the climate catastrophe, because Jesus, it's looking so terrible out here. So we definitely need a plan. So tune into Black Power Media for all of that amazing programming. And I will see y'all back here on Tuesday, guys. Don't forget, COVID is still out here jumping on people. COVID is still out here jumping on people. So act accordingly. All right. Y'all take it easy. Have a good Friday. Have a fantastic rest of your weekend. See y'all later. Bye-bye.